Does our current administration want you to have weapons? I don't know. Hey there, this is Tom with Tom's Talk Show, and things are going on. I think that might worry some people, and I mean, I'm one who does have. I've got one handgun here so far. I mean, I'm getting more. My parents have a couple of guns, and they don't want them anymore, don't need them anymore, but they're going to be sending them to me. Let's open this up. It's clear. So, but I really don't think that people in our government currently want any of the people in the world to have any kind of guns. Now, how did I acquire this gun? I went to an online store. I went and purchased it through the online store, had it shipped to an FFL, Federal Firearms license place, and then filled out the paperwork to do a background check. Had that background check go through. Took about 10-ish days. Went back, paid them the FFL a fee, and then picked up my gun and some ammunition. So all of that through normal, regular, natural channels. I mean, that's kind of what it takes. California, there was a 10-day, there was a waiting period kind of in California, kind of a cooling off period in case so people don't just run out and purchase weapons when they're all, pissed off so they can do harm to people. But in general, I mean, I think that, of course, people who, watching some other videos and taking these other videos at their word, that most people who are jailed for gun crimes, only a few small percentage of them got through normal means. Like maybe 3% actually went and purchased them through normal means, and the rest all got them, basically off the street. So to take and further move laws and things to keep regular people from being able to arm themselves, and going through the whole process of the background check and everything else does I think more harm than good. But now there's an article that's getting mixed truths about it, but someone has posted here on the Truth About Guns. Of course, this is Truth About Guns, which is going to be very pro-gun and all that. So it says, apparently not content with efforts to make gun ownership more difficult and expensive for Americans, Biden's administration is taking steps to reduce the availability of .223 and .556 ammunition. So this is stuff that's going to be in your AR-15 and also from it's also produced for military. So the Americans own between 20 and 25 million AR guns. That's quite a few. I don't know how you're going to get all those off the street. So in the meantime, it's possible the Biden gang may have shot themselves in the foot with the ploy. John Cornyn and Chris Murphy pulled out an all-stops hammer out of a compromise deal in the Senate. It got 10 Republicans to sign out and announce with great fanfare this past weekend. So this is the deal that is in the Senate's new. Although so this whole thing about ammunition, the White House is, of course, denying it. But I really don't trust anything coming out of the White House. Because they constantly tell, Americans have more savings, more blah, 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 than ever before. And sorry, I haven't had so much credit card debt in my life than right now. Because, gas here in Florida, when we moved here, we're looking for a house here. I mean, I got gas, I think, gas for $2.05, I think. And now, I mean, it was bouncing at $4.98 where we are. The last time I got gas, it was $4.75, something like that. So it, just choose into everything you do, everything where you go, just choose into it. So, so much for telling everybody the truth, so zero believability from anybody, from any spokesman in this White House. Not that you can believe anybody in any realm in the White House, but they're just certain White House people that lean more to, okay, I can believe that, mostly, to, okay, you're just full of crap, and just please stop talking because I can't handle the lies anymore. It's kind of like an Amber Heard thing. Please stop talking because I can't. The lies are just overloading us right now. Okay. 50 members of Democratic caucus joined 14 Republicans and moved this legislation forward. And what does this do? Provides funding for crisis centers and so-called red flag laws. Okay. Under the legislation, $750 million would be allotted over the next 5 years to help states implement red flag laws. So we need to have definitely hearings. Like if you are going to be flagged, you need to be able to go present something to some type of arbitrator to say whether this is a true flag or not. And if someone just keeps coming at you because they don't like you or they're just angry with you or something and they keep doing this, there needs to be penalties for that. Right? You can't just go try and throw somebody under the bus just because you don't like them or you don't agree with them. Because that's what definitely would happen, right? One side of the aisle will probably go after the other side of the aisle and start throwing some people under the bus, basically, and saying, "Oh, they're scary to me, so we need, and I don't think they're acting right, so we must take their weapons away." Can't do that arbitrarily. That needs to be penalties and harsh penalties for people doing this wrong. So, Republicans involved in the negotiations pushed to make sure no one is flagged without the right to an in-person hearing. With an unbiased adjudicator, that's really going to be hard to find. The right to know opposing evidence, the right to present evidence, and the right to confront witnesses. So basically a court type thing. We have a right to, same laws. Like if somebody accuses you of something in law, you have the right to confront your accusers and, present your side of an evidence. Under this bill, every state will be able to use significant new federal dollars to be able to expand their programs to stop dangerous people contemplating murder or mass suicide from being able to. So basically, this is kind of getting into your, if you go to a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, and you start saying, I'm really, they're really upset, they really want to do something, and this is how they're feeling and everything else. Is that going to force them to turn them in to the government? And then how far does it go? And this is the fear. So you're living in a house somewhere, you've got a mom, a dad, 3 kids. The oldest kid is going to a psychologist and says, I'm anxious, I'm whatever, I need to be on some medicine or something. So that means that suddenly they get red flagged. That means that the parents get their guns taken away. Is that where we're going? Because they're in the same household, right? So how far do you go? This person who's having a problem visits their grandparents' house all the time. The grandparents have guns, so we're going to take all theirs away. How far out does this go? Right? There needs to be some very, very strict limitations. I mean, if they're in the household and the kids in the household and the parents have guns, well, get the parents to make sure that they're locked up, right? I don't think the parents don't need to lose their guns. They need to protect their family. So, closing the boyfriend loophole. So while spouses, co-parents, or cohabitation partners convicted of domestic violence are already banned from purchasing firearms, abusers in a relationship between people who are not married and live separately are still able to purchase guns. So-called boyfriend thing. Well, this is kind of, you can't have somebody else buy a gun for you. That's like a proxy law, so that you can't already. So I guess this is kind of extrapolating that and bringing, if you can't buy a gun, I can't go buy that gun for me and then give it to me. Well, that's not legal because you're not the one having the background check done. So maybe this, so some kind of, things are already kind of covered by that. But gun safety advocate says 70 women are shot and killed by an intimate partner every month. Okay, I'd have to see where they get their statistics, but under the new legislation, anyone convicted of domestic violence against a former or current dating partner would be banned from purchasing a weapon. So purchasing a weapon. So that means if they already have one, they don't have to give it up. So I guess if you already have a domestic violence charge against you, it would be very hard to get. I mean, if somebody's coming after you like that, all you have to get, if you get a restraining order against them, that automatically triggers that they have to give up all their weapons if you get a restraining order against them. Republican negotiators push for a strict definition who would qualify as that. So, okay, yes, we need to have all these things defined. Can't just be anything. Okay, so expanded background checks for younger buyers. Legislation calls for expansion background checks into buyers under age of 21, providing 3 business days for the check into their criminal mental health history to be completed. So now we're digging into people's psychologist, psychiatric records. So I don't know how you're going to do that and not like start breaking HIPAA laws and be able to, maintain that. There needs to be some guidelines, right? There needs to be, okay, does the psychologist or psychiatrist or whoever, counselor, whoever they're seeing, foresee anything bad coming out of what's going on? And how long does that take? I mean, it says 3 days, but you have to, do they have to disclose that they're seeing a psychologist or some therapist when you apply for the weapon? So, I mean, at this point, it just would be better, I think, for that, just to make, okay, if you're going to do that, why not just make it, you have to be over 21 to purchase a weapon, and just get rid of the 18 to 21. So you grow a lot, you learn a lot, you mature a lot between 18 to 21, like seriously. So let's just move that to 21, then all that, information kind of goes away. I'm kind of okay with that. Funding for mental health and school security. Now this is huge. School security, I think, is huge. Provides expanded funding, access to mental health services, including making it easier for Americans on Medicaid and telehealth services to work with community-based mental health and substance use disorder treatment providers and organizations. Okay, that's fine. Keep, but I'm sure that is where you're going to get the reporting of, okay, you're going and seeing someone for mental health, then immediately trigger you red flag, can't get a weapon. And when does that stop? Right? If you have a mental condition that is determined that, okay, you probably shouldn't have a gun, you're a little, we don't like what we're seeing. When does that stop? Right? When is that okay to remove that? Or is that like permanent? You forever the rest of your life, can now no longer purchase or have access to a weapon. Okay. The bill also provides $300 million for the Stop School Violence Act to increase security at schools. While some Democrats have expressed concern about this aspect of the bill, Pinhead said she was worried about the expansion of background checks into juvenile records. Previous attempts to secure schools were both ineffective and harmful. Her blabbing on about that, I don't think is meaningful. I think everywhere where we require people to be safe, you go through security. I mean, when I go to Disney World, go into the park, I go through metal detector. There's one entrance, and there is kind of just one exit, but there could be multiple exits. But there's one entrance to the park, and you go through, everybody is filtered through security, through a metal detector, and if anybody has anything in their bag, then they got to go over to the little table and have their bag opened, and everything is gone through, right? Why wouldn't you implement something like that at a school? Schools are, hyper important. Kids are hyper important to their parents. Kids are hyper important, right? We want to keep them and protect them. Why not do metal detector and, one police officer there? One entrance, multiple exits. It's a really, you're not going to stop everything. You're still going to have, okay, so now somebody's going to stop and be shooting and doing something from outside the school into the school. But at least that's more controllable. They're not inside the rooms in a confined space. They're outside. Maybe we can, and if there's an officer there, they can hear what is going on and call for backup immediately and get things moving in the right direction, right? Where if they've already gotten into the school and deep into a classroom, it's very difficult to get in there, right? And then you might have afraid police officers or afraid chiefs, like in the last Texas shooting. Don't get me started about that. That's going to just basically irritate me so much. The more information that comes out about that is crazy. Okay, so licensed dealers and gun trafficking. Okay, so legislation would also require more sellers to register as federally licensed firearms dealers, including anyone who sells guns to predominantly earn a profit. Okay, these sellers would be in turn required to run background checks of potential buyers and keep the records. So more people are going to be required to get the federal license. So that would just put some gun dealers out of business, right? If you have to get licenses anyway. If you're just a hobbyist, gun collector dealer who deals in old weapons and historic items and things like that, that's probably going to start covering them and making them do it, which is going to put them out of business, basically. So that's kind of seems like most of all of the things. They do have the whole entire bill, 80 pages. If you want to peruse through it, there's a lot of stuff. But I think the two main things that we need to do are one, you've locked everybody down, putting everybody in their houses, made it so they can't socially interact, make it so you can't have, interactions with other people other than online. And having interactions through a phone all day is just not the same as face-to-face. It just is not. So that's going to wear mental health on people, and telling everybody and horribly telling people who are the least affected by the bug that's going around, that you're going to die, or that if you get it, you're going to, cause your whole family to have something. Things like that were just horrible. And so that's going to cause this huge, ginormous, mental health problem for youth in America. Do I really bother being locked in my house all day? I'm in my office all day. I'll go outside and get the garbage, get the mail. We got the acre in the back, and I can go watch, Mrs. Tech Show, as I call her, watch her mow the yard, because I'm horrible and I make my wife mow the yard, but she enjoys it, really, typically. So you got these kids who are now in a mental crisis, and now so they need help. So yes, get money to get. The worst thing that Reagan did was shut down all the mental health facilities. Actually, they turned one in Ventura County. They turned one into a college. From a mental health facility to a college. I don't know. Channel Islands University, I think. So let's get some help for kids. Second is security in schools. So you need that set up so there's one way in, metal detector, officer there during school hours. All the kids come through, go through the metal detector, everybody's good. Anybody coming in at odd hours, right? Because typically, is someone who wanting to do harm going to come in when all the kids are there? But often it seems like they come in when they think no one is around. And the only way they get in is through that front door, and there's a metal detector there, and there's an officer there going, what are you doing? And, if they're running in with something like this, the officer's going to know. This isn't going to pass a metal detector. The officer's going to know immediately and be able to do something right then and there. And if something goes on outside the school instead of, inside the school, the officer will be there, hear it, be able to call for support, and be able to get, things under control. So I think those two things are huge. Trying to remove any guns or remove any ammo or do anything like that from regular people who have gone through the process and are normal law-abiding, gun owners, taking anything away from them is pointless. So with watching some other videos quoting statistics that only 3% of the people in prison did gun-involved crimes. 3% of them got their weapons through normal means, through the regular channels. The rest of them on the street. So you're really not going to make a dent in anything by taking guns away from regular citizens. All you're going to do is make them less safe. All the reports that we see all the time of, this person protected themselves from somebody coming in a window. This was protecting themselves from somebody coming after their kids. All these things about people being able to protect themselves. And the more people know that, hey, I don't want to go in that house. That one of our officers that came to us after we had our house broken into said, well, if you were here, our house had been tented. And if you want to know, anytime your house gets tented for termites, don't believe any of the statistics that they tell you. The officer came up and told us directly, 90% of those houses are broken into, and probably it's somebody on the crew who knows, who's telling somebody, who to do it. That was from the officer. He said, that's just the way it is. So, but he said, if you're in your house, one of the best security things is to have a dog that barks. Not a tiny yip dog. Those things are worthless. A dog, a 60, 70, 80, 90-pound dog that barks, right? That's because if somebody's coming up there and they hear woo woo, this big, deep, dark bark, deep growl, they're not going to that house because the dog is unpredictable. They're going to go to the neighbor's house who doesn't have a dog. So, and once the dog is there, if they try and get past your dog, and in your house and past your dog, then you have a weapon, then you can protect yourself, from there, right? So, hey, what do you think? Do you think our government is going crazy? Do you think they're trying to come after all of your weapons? What do you think about the story that they're trying to get Winchester to stop making ammunition? And if they stop making ammunition, then they have to lay off workers. Then if we have to do any kind of military action, right, there's no capacity for them to step up and make ammunition for our soldiers. So that to me is a huge concern. So I every day I just see this government going in the wrong direction, and I hope that in the fall everybody understands that and votes accordingly and votes out anybody that's being ineffective on both sides, right? Republican or Democrat. Get rid of them and get somebody in there who's going to do something to make life better for the citizens of the United States. All right. Well, thanks for watching this, and I hope you made it all the way to the end, because I appreciate that. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to this new channel, and take care of yourself. Bye.